The most dangerous cartel operative is not the one who crosses the border. It is the one who decides who gets across it, the one who stamps the papers, clears the lanes, and quietly waves the cars through. Before sunrise, while cities still believe they are asleep, power moves without noise. No guns, no sirens, no mosques, just signatures, calendars, and silence. In Phoenix, Arizona, the desert air was still cold when 3 black SUVs rolled off Interstate 10 and slipped into a gated community. No flashing lights, no urgency, just engines humming through streets lined with trimmed hedges and sleeping houses. Behind tinted glass were sealed federal warrants, indictments months in the making, and men who had waited patiently for one exact minute. The target was not a warehouse, not a cartel safe house. It was a 2-story stucco home at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac. A judge lived there. When the front door was hit, it did not creak. It detonated. Wood, glass, and light burst inward as flashlights carved through the dark. Family photos. Law degrees. A framed oath to uphold the Constitution. Everything looked respectable. Everything looked clean. Until it wasn't. What agents were about to uncover was not just corruption. It was a system. The basement told the truth the house tried to hide. Concrete stairs descended into peeling walls and stale air. At the bottom waited a steel-reinforced door, a biometric lock, and a ventilation system that did not belong in a family home. When the metal finally gave way, the smell hit first. Sharp, chemical, manufactured. This was not dust or storage. This was production. Inside, industrial shelving lined the walls from floor to ceiling. Vacuum-sealed bricks stacked with warehouse precision, not residential neglect. 35 kilograms of fentanyl. 10 kilograms of heroin. Each brick carried the same stamp. A scorpion coiled around a raised dagger. Enough poison to erase entire cities. This was not a judge's home. It was a distribution node. In a walk-in closet behind tailored suits and silk ties, agents found a hidden safe. Inside were millions in bundled cash, encrypted phones, and a leather ledger filled with case numbers, dates, and dollar amounts written in red ink. Every delayed hearing, every blocked warrant, every dismissed case. Each line meant one thing. A shipment passed through untouched. By the time the sun began to rise, the man who had sentenced hundreds stood under arrest in his own bedroom. His family watched in silence. His daughters never came downstairs. But this was only the beginning. Operation Desert Gate was not a single raid. It was a system collapsing all at once. Across 8 states, 14 coordinated entries unfolded within minutes. No speeches, no countdowns, just doors opening, cuffs closing, and careers ending before sunrise. In downtown Phoenix, agents moved into a glass tower and up to the office of a celebrated prosecutor. Her conviction rate was legendary. Her reputation spotless. The kind of name quoted in law schools and press conferences. She was supposed to stand beside investigators, not face them. When her desk drawer was pulled open, the story changed. Stacks of cash. A burner phone still warm. Messages mapping safe corridors along interstate routes, clearing shipments by the hour. She wasn't closing lanes for poison. She was opening them. In El Paso, agents enter the quiet home of a veteran border supervisor. 16 years of commendations hung on the walls. His photo smiled from recruitment posters. In the garage, behind neatly stacked drums, they found wrapped bricks stamped with the same scorpion mark. A leather logbook listed dates, license plates, checkpoint notes. One word appeared again and again. Clear. The man trusted to stop the flow was the one waving it through. And the pattern was just beginning. In Albuquerque, agents surrounded a quiet house at the end of a cul-de-sac. Inside lived a narcotics deputy, 12 years on the force. The man who wrote the county's evidence protocols. The one others called when a case had to be done right. On paper, his work was flawless. His basement told a different story. Behind a locked door sat a private evidence room. Cocaine, heroin, fentanyl, all sealed in official evidence bags with case numbers and signatures. Every label traced back to seizures that had vanished from county storage. This was not a cop skimming the top. This was inventory. The man trusted to protect the chain of custody had turned it into a resale operation. Across the Southwest, the same scene unfolded. Doors breached. Badges removed. Evidence cataloged. California, Texas, New Mexico, Nevada, Colorado, Utah, Oklahoma, Arizona. 14 targets. 14 minutes. By sunrise, the scale was undeniable. Officials in custody. Tons of synthetic drugs seized. Vehicles, properties, and accounts frozen. But the real story wasn't the arrests. It was how long the system had been allowed to run. The collapse began with a sound most people never notice. A single click on a wiretap line in a windowless lab at Quantico. Months earlier, a late-night call was intercepted between a cartel lieutenant in Mexico and an unknown contact in Phoenix. One voice spoke in slang and code. The other spoke in legal language. Court rules, deadlines, procedural delays. He did not offer drugs. He offered time. Analysts isolated the voice, ran it through federal databases, and watched a name appear on the screen. Judge Ethan Calder. No one called it solved. They wrote one phrase beneath his photo. Entry point. Financial investigators followed the money. Bank accounts, credit cards, shell companies, offshore transfers through Panama, the Caymans, and the British Virgin Islands. Property purchases through newly formed LLCs, consulting fees wired to relatives. Education funds disguised as grant from foundations no one could trace. When Calder's financial network was overlaid on federal payroll data, other names appeared. Prosecutors, deputies, port officials, border supervisors, all connected, all suddenly wealthy. The cartel had not bought a judge. They had built an ecosystem. Money alone does not move drugs. You need infrastructure. You need a system. Operation Desert Gate uncovered how it worked. Step 1 was the crossing. Trucks approached the border and rolled through without secondary inspection. No dilas, no questions. Average crossing time for minutes. Step 2 was the escort. Once inside the country, the loads merged into convoys registered as municipal vehicles. City logos, official plates, fuel cards tied to government accounts. On paper, they were routine deliveries. In reality, they carried fentanyl in bulk. Step 3 was storage. The convoys ended at warehouses owned by shell companies with clean business licenses. Approved, signed, and cleared by the very officials sworn to regulate them. Step 4 was protection. If questions surfaced, paperwork buried them. Warrants delayed. Evidence suppressed. Cases quietly dismissed before they could breathe. This was not criminals sneaking past government. This was government repurposed into a drug pipeline. And while the system ran smoothly, the damage spread quietly through the city. Emergency rooms began to fill. In the months before the raids, hundreds of overdose cases flooded hospitals. Some patients survived. Many did not. The pills did not look dangerous. They looked like medicine. Same color. Same imprint. Same bottles people trusted. Parents checked labels. Grandparents placed them beside nightly prescriptions. Coaches kept them in lockers for injured players. Each tablet carried enough fentanyl to stop breathing in seconds. High school parking lots, college dorm rooms, nursing homes, places where no one thought they were touching street drugs. Every quiet funeral, every folded yearbook photo, every empty bed. The pipeline did not just move product. It delivered death to people who never knew they were part of the trade. And when the indictments finally came, the language was blunt. Conspiracy, racketeering, obstruction of justice, money laundering, the legal way of saying one thing. You did not look away. You helped build the machine. Not argue. He did not raise his voice. He did not look at the gallery. He sat in a suit that no longer fit, staring at the defense table as his attorney claimed coercion. Threats. Fear for his family. No other choice. Then the evidence was brought in. Photographs of cash stacked inside a hidden safe. Seized fentanyl and heroin. A leather ledger written in his own hand. When the charges were read aloud, the words echoed through marble and dark wood. You were given power to protect. Instead, you sold that power to those who destroy. Outside the courthouse, the Attorney General spoke of restoring trust and rebuilding institutions. The words sounded strong through microphones and flags. Across the street, a father held a framed photo of his daughter. She had taken one counterfeit pill and never woke up. He did not speak. He did not shout. The picture said everything. On paper, the operation was a success. Drugs seized, assets frozen, weapons taken. But numbers do not measure betrayal. Courtrooms meant for justice had been turned into corridors for poison. Badges meant to protect had become licenses for profit. Trials will take years. Appeals will follow. New policies will be written. New task forces announced. New promises made. But paperwork does not heal
all
a wound
connected,
like this.
all suddenly
Because
wealthy
laws
in
are
ways
only
their
ink
salaries
and
couldn't
paper.
explain.
Trust is the real shield. In the months after Operation Desert Gate, reforms were announced. Financial audits, enhanced vetting, oversight panels. On paper, it looked like progress. In reality, it was still just paper. The question was no longer whether the system failed. Everyone knew it did. The real question was how far the rot had spread before anyone noticed. How many more judges still speak the language of justice while quietly selling access? How many courtrooms are already compromised before a witness ever takes the stand? How many badges are pinned to uniforms funded by cartel money? How many shipments are moving tonight under official protection? The map kept expanding. The web kept growing. And trust had broken long before anyone saw it crack. In Phoenix, Judge Ethan Calder's old courtroom was sealed. His nameplate removed. His gavel tagged, bagged, and locked away as evidence. But across the Southwest, courtrooms were still open. Every morning, new cases were called, new oaths sworn, and somewhere, an encrypted phone lit up with a simple question. Can you clear the way? Someone will say yes. Someone will pretend they never heard it. This is not just a story about one corrupt judge. It is a story about betrayal. When people entrusted with power choose profit over principle. When justice becomes a transaction. The question remains, do we demand accountability or accept that some doors stay closed? If this matters, act. Demand accountability or silence. Phoenix was one city. Next week, it could be another. The most dangerous cartel operative is not the one who crosses the border. It is the one who controls it.